Welcome to Her Money Revolution. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, your guide on this journey to becoming a wealthy woman. As a certified financial planner, owner, and advisor at Family Capital Management, I'm on a mission to simplify the conversation around investing and to help women generate more wealth by making their money work for them. Join me as we navigate powerful financial planning strategies to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. This podcast is your go-to destination for no fluff, easy to implement financial and investing advice. If you are ready to achieve audacious financial goals, dream beyond boundaries, and generate massive wealth for you and your family, this podcast is for you. Grab a notebook. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Her Money Revolution, the podcast where we empower women to grow their wealth by making their money work for them. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, and today I want to talk more about my mission to help women build real wealth for themselves, their families, and their future. Real wealth, however, is not just in our portfolios. It's in growing our confidence. It's in growing our clarity, our capacity, and to live a life that is truly rich. Past the dollars, past the credit card bills, but truly, truly rich. You see, so often we chase wealth as a number in our bank account, a retirement balance, a certain amount of income that we have, or a dream lifestyle that we want to live. And I'm not saying that any of that is wrong. That's great. These things are important. That's what I do, right? Every day is work with people to help grow their wealth. But I believe real wealth is something so much deeper. And I've seen it. I have clients that have multi-million dollars and they're miserable. That to me is not living a truly rich life. It's not just about accumulating your dollars. It's about building a life that feels rich in every single way, in relationships, in how well you sleep at night, your health. It just impacts so much more than just the dollars in our bank account. But I'm going to break it down because real wealth is found in what I believe in growing your confidence, clarity, capacity, and contribution. So the first one I said, confidence, trusting yourself with money decisions. Confidence is the foundation of financial success. It's the inner knowing that you've got this, that you're going to be okay because I got this. Even when the market dips or life throws a curveball, you got this. There's so many women that money has been a source of stress or of shame or of second guessing. But confidence grows when we choose to engage with our finances instead of avoid them. 99% of the time, things are better than we have built up in our heads, right? If we just ignore them, we're not going to know. So if we just engage with our finances, you're going to feel so much more confident one day at a time. I'll never forget a client who really, really exemplified this so well. She came to me carrying a pile of paperwork, like a briefcase, the old school briefcase type paperwork. But she also had a sense of fear. I felt it. I knew it. We have reached out to her multiple times. She was a current client with a smaller account, and we had tried to reach out to her to get her scheduled to do some planning. But when she walked in, I could tell that she was carrying not just her paperwork, but a lot of fear. And part of her story, she was 22 and she was in a really bad car accident. She was hit by a drunk driver and it crushed both of her legs. It took her, I think, 4 or 5 years to walk again. And she's still not able to fully, she can walk, but she's not fully functional. She had rehab, and you can imagine, like, I have not been anything like that, God forbid, but she had to rebuild her life. And it was a very, very challenging time for her. And us meeting, I clearly saw that our conversation started to kind of trigger some PTSD. But when she was 22, there was a settlement, and she received a settlement annuity that pays her a little less than $2,000 a month. It's a lot of money. every month since you were 22, and it's 40 years ago. So she knew what she can remember. So she hasn't looked at any of the documentation since she was 22. What she remembers is that it was going to last a long time, but no one could ever explain to her exactly how long. And nor did she ask, right? So is this going to be for the rest of my life, or is this ending soon? She avoided it so much so, and I want to be careful of all the things that I say, but she avoided it so much so that there's still a paper copy check that went to her home. So it was her parents' home originally. They moved out or have passed away, and there's new owners there. She contacted those new owners and said, hey, I have a check that comes here every month. I'm just going to stop by and grab it. I can't change the address on file. So if you're okay with that. And she has been doing that for many, many years. That's avoiding. It's hard for me to hear because that's just so painful for her. So fast forward, the day that we met, she walked into my office for an initial consultation. Again, she had been a client that has a small mutual fund. And so we've been trying to reach out to her to schedule something. But she had in the back of her mind that 2027 was going to be the last time that she got this, 2026, 2027. So she finally responded to one of our touch points, say, hey, yeah, let me go ahead and schedule something. But when she came in, her hands were trembling. She was clearly overwhelmed. She confided in me, like I said, that she hadn't called that annuity company in years because she was so scared. She was so scared the payments would stop, scared that she was doing something wrong. Like, was she filing her taxes the right way? She was scared that she had already made a mistake that she couldn't go back and fix. So instead of addressing it, she did what many of us do when we feel unprepared. She avoided it altogether. So as I began our usual process of getting to know her, sharing a bit about myself and in my company, talking about my team and walking her through the first phase of building out a comprehensive financial plan, I noticed that she was becoming even more nervous. We were making eye contact initially, but now her eyes were darting around the room and her posture was tight and she just was clearly uncomfortable. So I stopped. I just paused. I stopped talking to her about or asking her questions or trying to focus on a comprehensive financial plan. And I decided to shift gears. I asked about a little bit more about her work. She told me that she was an elementary school teacher. So I said, tell me more about that. And as she was talking, she lit up. I could see the energy was coming back. She specializes in reading and speech therapy, and that is something that I'm working on with one of my kids. And so I'm like, tell me more about that because I have some experience that I'd like to just kind of get some feedback from you. So I could tell, okay, this is my in. Let me go ahead and let her just start to get more and more comfortable. And once I started asking her for advice, help me with my kids, the whole energy shifted. Everything about our conversation changed. Her posture relaxed. She was making eye contact with me again. She was smiling. She was even laughing. She was suddenly herself again. I could tell by her talking about different strategies to help kids read and retain. That was her lane, and I connected with her there. In this first conversation, we did not end up calling the annuity company. It took some more time. But that moment reminded me that money conversations aren't really about money. They're about trust and safety and connection. So I said, let's not worry about all of these forms right now. We don't need to call anybody. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. Why don't you just go ahead and leave everything with me? Let me build out a plan. And when we meet again in the next week or two, at that point, we can make some phone calls. In the meantime, if you have any questions, no pressure, but feel free to give me a call. I want to take it just one step at a time. So she was thrilled with that. She even said, thank you so much for asking me about my work. I feel so much calmer. I feel like I can just relax now. She said, honestly, I wanted to say, never mind, and just walk out. And I didn't like hearing that because she's just being honest. But I'm like, I hate making someone feel like they are just, never mind, let me just leave. But now she was feeling comfortable and it wasn't so scary. And she actually said, I don't feel so alone anymore. I have somebody that I can talk to about this. So we ended up meeting 4 or 5 more times after that initial consultation. And Slowly but surely, we established a plan that she could really rely on. And here's the incredible part. We called that annuity company to learn about that settlement payment. And it was, in fact, about to expire. However, the payment wasn't going to expire. It was the guaranteed death benefit that was going to expire. What we actually learned was that her income was going to continue for the rest of her life. And it was actually going to increase at 3 or 4% a year, which was huge, huge for her. So we were able to clean all of that up. We stopped having the checks being physically mailed to a home that she no longer owned. We went direct deposit. And it was just an amazing experience. I am so proud of where she is today with her confidence and her clarity. She called me shortly after a handful of those conversations and said, Angela, I have never slept so well in my entire life. Ever since I was 22 and was in that car accident, I've been having some PTSD for sure and some nightmares about my experiences, but I've slept better than I have in so many years, knowing that I'm going to be okay. She's an amazing client today. And every time we meet, I just feel like she sits a little bit taller and she is so sure of herself in her future. It just gives me, that's why my life feels rich. That gives me so much purpose and meaning in my work, what I get to do every day. To me, that is the real return on investment. It's not just a spreadsheet or her portfolio, but a woman who's gone from scared and stuck to empowered and in control. That to me is what living a rich life looks like. And you can do it too. It's about educating yourself. It's about asking questions and realizing that we are more capable than what we've been led to believe. And here's the truth. Confident women don't wait for perfect. They take action, they learn as they go, and they build wealth on their own terms. So I should say that differently. We take action, we learn as we go, and we build wealth on our terms. Okay, let me move to point number 2, clarity. Knowing what wealth means to you. Without clarity, money loses meaning. You could hit every single savings target and still feel unfulfilled if you're chasing someone else's definition of success. Again, true wealth isn't just money, right? Clarity is knowing your values, your priorities, and the life that you're working to create. It's understanding where your money is going and, more importantly, why it is going there. When you have clarity, your financial plan becomes a true reflection of your deepest goals, not just a list of numbers, but a true reflection of your goals. And that's where true alignment lives. Wealth is being present with my family. It's the freedom to take a walk in the middle of my day. It's the flexibility to say yes to a unplanned, spontaneous trip, which I don't do very often. My husband and I have things like pretty planned out because our lives are pretty chaotic if we don't. But when we can say yes to an unplanned trip, it's amazing. Wealth to me is giving back, is to give generously without fear. But wealth to me is also showing up with everything I've got. It's working hard so that I can pour back into the people who matter most, especially my family, of course, but my team at my company. That's what wealth looks like, is being able to help lead them, to see their growth and to see their successes and to take time to slow down enough to celebrate those with them. It's being able to give my team more than they expected, a raise that reflects their worth, recognition that fuels their confidence, and then the leadership that challenges and inspires them to truly grow, not only just in their career, but in their personal lives as well, in their marriages. For me, true wealth is leading with heart. It's leading with a clear vision, and it's leading by example. My husband gives me a hard time and says, you have a high say-do ratio. And I do. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm slow to not say certain things because I want to lead by example. I want to serve my team. I believe that leadership is being a servant leader in action, not just with the words that we say, but lifting others up As I climb for my goals and my dreams, I want to lift others up with me. I want to propel them past me and serve them as I go. But to me, wealth is rooted in my faith in Jesus. It's staying deeply connected to my husband, knowing his needs, making him feel seen, keeping our love alive. We've been married for 12 years. We have 3 kids. He travels quite a bit for work. I run a business, a couple of businesses. My kids are all in sports and we live a very chaotic life. But wealth to me isn't all of that if it's not with him. So we are really intentional to focus on our marriage and to keep our love alive. So alive that when we kiss, our hearts still race like they did when we first met. Wealth is writing letters in Spanish to the 4 children that my family sponsors in Mexico and watching my kids write in Spanish. They pen pal back and forth. I absolutely love it. It's seeing the photos that our kids in Spain or in Mexico send us with their birthday gifts that they were able to buy because of our giving that made it possible for them to buy themselves a birthday gift. And sadly, some of those gifts, I zoom in on the photo and it's bread or toilet paper, but that's what wealth looks like for me. It's the richness of my relationships, the kind of friendships where even when I forget to send a birthday text until a week later, which happens with me often, and I have one friend, if you're listening, I'm sorry, I love you. I know every stinking year for the last 5 years, I literally missed my friend's birthday. I don't know how I do it. I get so mad at myself, but she doesn't. She has so much grace. There's no bitterness, just grace with her. So much grace. And I love you so much if you're listening. But that's what true wealth looks like to me, is the richness in those relationships. The third point, capacity. Expanding what's possible. Wealth gives you options, but it also requires you to build capacity. Capacity is the margin to dream bigger, to say yes to new opportunities, or simply exhale without guilt. It's what allows you to stop operating in survival mode and to start living and leading with intention. It means having systems in place so you're not constantly in a hustle or burnout mode. And if you're a mom listening and you're a business owner and a wife and you wear all of the hats, you could probably be thinking, Angela, how do you not live in burnout mode? And I'm trying to figure that out. I try very, very hard to live with intention and to design the life that I'm living. And it is a hustle. It is, I'm constantly rushing from one thing to the next, and not rushing, but I'm hurrying to get out of work to get my kid to practice on time, or hurrying to leave practice so I can respond to a client email, or you're always pulled in so many different ways, but it's the mindset of that calm. So for me, building capacity, it's giving me something I didn't even know I was missing in that space to truly be present. And I'd say since I've had babies, since I've had kids, I've really, really been so intentional. I read multiple books on connecting and building that foundation with your child. And one of them, if they're having babies or young kids, it's look at how often they turn to make eye contact with you. And if you're not present, if you're on your phone, or if you're, maybe you're there, like I go to my kids' football practice and I watch them. I'm not in my phone. I talk to the neighbors or whoever is next to me. I talk to the other moms that are there. But when I'm talking with them, I look at my kid, because my 5th grader and my now 3rd grader, they still turn to see, is mom watching? So when I say be present, it's not just physically in the room, but turn off the TV, turn off your cell phones, pay attention to your spouse and your kids. I've been working very, very hard at that since I've had babies. But it's not to feel frantic after work. I build enough margin. I have hard boundaries. I don't take clients after a certain time because I have to be home for my kids, especially if my husband's traveling. I want to take a walk. But, one of the things my husband and I do when we get home, or when I get home from work, is to take a quiet walk in our neighborhood. We maybe do a yard walk, look at my garden that I absolutely love doing. I love gardening. That's another, for me, a way that I live rich, is that I have capacity to spend time in my backyard and garden, in my side yard, in my front yard. I've got flowers everywhere. And the deer are eating them up like crazy. And it's really pissing me off. But nevertheless, I still enjoy doing it. But building capacity to me means showing up at my kids' school with a clear mind right? And an open heart to hear about their day and to care about what's going on in their worlds. That's margin. That's peace. That's part of wealth too, right? And in my business, building capacity meant stepping out of the weeds and into the vision. It meant creating systems. It meant hiring the right support team, giving myself permission to lead instead of constantly react. That shift didn't just grow the business, it helped me grow into the leader and the mom and the woman that I am today and that I want to continue to be. As your mindset expands, so does your ability to create and hold more financially, emotionally, spiritually. And if you know my story on that as well, there's a book that I read years ago that really expanded my mindset. Like I said earlier, I had a very high say-do ratio, so much so that I minimized some of the goals that I would set for myself. But I shifted that, and my life shifted because of that. So as your mindset expands, your abilities expand. You can create and hold more for your life. Okay, number 4, contribution. Using wealth to make a difference. This is the last point that I want to make, but I believe that wealth without purpose is empty. But when you use what you have to pour into others, whether it's your time or your money or your knowledge or your support or your understanding, you build a legacy. You contribute back to your community or to the people that are in your life. Contribution is what transforms wealth into impact. I have clients that, they work so hard to save. Then when they retire, they're so scared to use it or to give back. I have clients that are 90 years old and they've got multi-million dollars in their portfolios. And I'm saying, spend it, use it, give it, do something with it, donate it, contribute it. What is that doing in the portfolio? Sure, I'm making money off of it, but that's not impacting our community. I have a list of things I could help you give this money to. It's true contribution was what transforms lives. And it doesn't have to be like big and flashy, It can be mentoring a young individual. It can be giving to a cause that you love, or building a business that uplifts your community, or building a business that provides jobs for others. When we live in alignment with our values and we give from a full cup, when we experience a kind of fulfillment that no portfolio can measure, that's truly living a rich life. To me, one of the greatest rewards of building wealth is using it to bless others and in ways that you don't even see coming. Let me tell you another quick story about that. My husband, John, he loves boating. I wouldn't say he's obsessed with boating, but he absolutely loves boating. If it were up to him, we would live on the boat all summer long. We have a good sized boat, but not big enough to live on all summer long. Now, I do love being out on the water. I do love boating. Honestly, with my 3 growing kids, they absolutely love it. If they didn't love it, it would be a little bit more challenging, but my kids love it. But the boat seems to get smaller every single year. These kids keep growing. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm losing space. But during Coast Guard Festival in Grand Haven, Michigan, which is so fun, you should definitely check it out if you haven't. It's 2 weeks packed with parades and fireworks and all kinds of carnival and all kinds of stuff for your family. But John wanted to stay at the boat for the last week. I wasn't thrilled, right? Because I had client meetings and different things, but I agreed. I said, all right, if we can get a nanny lined up to come out to the marina and hang with the kids, our marina has a pool and all kinds of fun stuff to do. So I'm like, if we can get a nanny, that's fine. It's more on you because I'm going to drive into the office every day. And then, you're at the boat with the kids and the nanny. He was all 100%. Because our current nanny, by the way, was in Alaska. So we didn't even have a nanny lined up. But anyway, we figured it out and we had a couple of sitters come out and it was so much fun. But the first night that we got there, the air conditioner in our cabin was not working. It was like 94 degrees outside. And oh my goodness, I don't know, 120 in the boat. Maybe I'm being dramatic. I don't know, but it felt that way. It was miserable, you guys. I'm like, there is no way. My husband got there sooner than I did. And so when I walked in, I'm like, babe, we can't stay out here. There's no way. Like, let's just go back home. And he had already taken the whole unit apart and tried to defrost it. He's pretty handy. He can do a lot of things. But 3 hours of doing that, there's just no luck. It was running. The unit was running, but it wasn't blowing. So we kept thinking, it's got to be the filter. But again, I was already ready to head home. John's so determined to make it work out that he convinced us to go to Home Depot and to buy a portable air conditioning unit. Not one of those window units, but the other portable ones that have the hose that plugs in or tube vent attachment thing. It cost us like over $400. So I'm trying to be supportive of my husband, but I wasn't fully aligned with this plan. I think wasting $400 isn't in line with my values, if you know what I mean. Kind of like, okay. But nevertheless, fine. We bought the unit, we hooked it up, or John hooked it up, and we slept like babies. It was an icebox in the cabin. It was so great. It worked out fine, and everything was great. Meanwhile, John had already been texting our maintenance guy at the marina who said that he couldn't stop by till like the next week because it was Coast Guard and he has multiple boats already that he's been working on. Like, so yeah, maybe the next week. Like, that's not going to work for us because we're here now, right? But okay, we'll just see what we can do. The next morning, we're at breakfast. John and I are sitting, and our kids were sitting at our picnic table right by our boat. And our maintenance guy pulls up in a golf cart. Like, hey, that was a surprise. What are you doing here? And this is what he said to us. He goes, since John always buys my team pizza, since John's always making sure my team is fed, I figured I could squeeze you guys in. I was so like, good job, babe. Like, way to go. But thank you, maintenance guy. So it turns out the issue wasn't the one vent that John had already taken out and cleaned. There were multiple vents and 2 or 3 of them. And one of them was still clogged. We've had the boat 5 years, and we've never cleaned it. So it was so disgusting. It was literally thick and clogged and black and just bleh. Our maintenance guy had it fixed within 10 minutes. Everything was fine. The air conditioning unit is back up and running. But now we had this brand new portable air conditioning unit that we couldn't just return because it was open. There was like this whole seal thing on it. Like, once you cut that, you can no longer return it. So I'm like, all right, well, what do we do with this? So we asked Nate, is our maintenance guy. We asked him if he knew anyone that might need it. And sure enough, he did. And this is the part that just makes me so like, thank you, Jesus. So it's a divine appointment is what I was going to say. But he told us that there's a man at his shop at the marina that works there. Has 4 young children and a wife. And they only had one air conditioning unit in their home. It was a box window unit. And it's been hot. It was so crazy hot the last month. So the whole family would sleep in the living room just to stay cool. We would make it fun. They camp out on the ground, but they'd all be in the living room to stay cool. So we knew right away. John looked at me. I'm like, 100%, absolutely. We went ahead and donated our unit that we used for 8 hours to this family. And here's what I truly, truly believe. That whole chain of events, the broken AC unit, the last minute stay on our boat, the decision to buy a new air conditioning unit that I was arguing with my husband about. We didn't know it then, but I truly believe it was all God's way of giving us an opportunity to give, a chance to use our wealth to make a difference for someone else. I believe that God orchestrated that chain of events exactly the way it was supposed to be, so that family could sleep a little less hot. I believe that God works in the smallest details, like that story. Sometimes contribution doesn't look like writing a big check. Sometimes it's as simple as saying yes to an inconvenience, like staying on your boat that the air conditioning doesn't work, so someone else's life can be changed. That's the kind of wealth that I want to build for my life and for my kids' life. And that's the kind of wealth that I am building and that I would love for you to be intentional about building as well. So as you think about your own journey, remember, it's not just about growing your net worth. It's not just about what's in your investment portfolio. It's about growing your confidence to make decisions, your clarity to know what truly matters, your capacity to receive more and live fully, and your willingness to contribute in ways that bring so much meaning. That is what I call real wealth. Thank you for joining me today on Her Money Revolution. If this episode inspired you, share it with a friend, leave me a review, reach out, let me know that you're listening. Let me know what real wealth means to you. Hashtag Her Money Revolution and what real wealth means to you. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, and keep becoming the woman that is creating a life rich in every way. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you are feeling more empowered in your financial journey. Remember, follow and subscribe to Her Money Revolution on your favorite podcast platform, and share your feedback by leaving a review. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's episode. Until next time, stay inspired.